Okay, great. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. And welcome to Juji's second webinar. And I'm Michelle, as Steve mentioned already. So I'm actually a co-founder and CEO of Juji. So today is actually one of my favorite topics. I want to share with you a set of design tips. And to be precise, it's 5 tips I want to share with you. And hopefully that will help you build a very effective chatbot that can ask user questions, including hard questions. I'm going to actually share with my slide right now and then turn off my camera, because this way would help me make the presentation actually more smooth. So first of all, so why do we want to make question asking chatbots? Because when people are thinking about chatbots, the first image came to their mind, it is question answering. So I want my chatbot to answer questions from my users, from my audience. So why do I need my chatbots also ask user questions? So there are typically 2 types of uses. One, it is you want your chatbots to gather information from the users. So for example, even after the chatbots answers the user question, it would be nice for the chatbot, of course, ultimately the human owners of the chatbot to know how well the chatbot has done. And similarly, in many other situations, which I will show you next slide, gathering information is very important for a particular type of business or research project, and so on and so forth. Actually, in addition to using the chatbot to gather information, another use of it is to make assessment. So think about it is if you want to make a chatbot to interview your patients or interview your job candidates or even interview your colleagues, at the end of the day, after questions are done, you want to kind of have a conclusion, make an assessment out of it, right? Whether it's a good fit for the job role, or maybe the patient is in a good standing, right? So that's also for the purpose of asking questions, making assessments. Here are listed some of the most common uses of the incorporating question asking chatbots in different types of applications. So for example, I already mentioned that conduct interviews. This could be candidate interview, employee interview, customer interview, user interview, or maybe a patient interview, or could be even doctor interview a doctor to see what this doctor knows, right, and what doctor can help you. So second part is conduct survey. So interview and survey are slightly different. It is because interview often is longer and also it's more semi-structured. So including lots of lots of open-ended questions. So surveys typically are shorter and also includes some of the quantitative measurements, which I will show. Another part is gather leads. So it's still similarly gather information. So let's say you have a website chatbot, you're running a university online program, or maybe you are running a business. So visitors come to your website. Of course, the first impression you say that, oh, visitors have questions about your website, your program, your product, your services. So you enable your chatbot to answer their questions. But would it be nice for your chatbot to ask questions, ask who they are, why they're visiting you, and what they're interested in finding out? So basically to make your chatbot more proactive and take initiatives. This one, gather leads information. The last part is make assessments. So for example, healthcare companies come there, use the chatbot to figure out the state of a person, whether it's the urgent situation, whether it's kind of like a triage, right? And also could be making a normal assessment, let's say employee sentiment assessment, employee, like we're talking about this in this people so-called great resignation, and how employees feel, right? So it's kind of like making that kind of assessments. And in all these applications I listed here, it's mandatory, I guess, it's critical for the chatbots to be able to ask questions. So what are the challenges? So I'm not sure how many platforms you have tried, you have experimented with by creating a chatbot, right? So the challenge here is the questions could be open-ended. Even they're not open-ended questions, the users may deviate from the questions, which I will show you in a minute, right? So, but the user responses to open-ended questions could be highly diverse and complex. Actually, here I actually did just pulled a couple of answers from a chatbot asked the question. So this is in a job interview situation. The chatbot asks the candidates, so what's the top challenge you're facing today? And in this case, you will see the users will give you those kind of answers. So how should the chatbot respond to such of user responses, right? And also the challenge here is the users might digress. User might say, why are you asking me this, right? Remember, you are looking at this one, you say that you completely understand. That's because you're human beings, you're super smart. When chatbot look at those responses, they're just numbers, right? The chatbot needs to make sense of it and respond accordingly and properly, right? And then, so this case, what challenge it is because machines are dumb. You have to teach machines how to respond to this one. Okay, so now I'm going to the tips part of it. I'm directly dive into it. So today I'm going to share with you 5 tips that's very easy to implement on the Juji platform, and also are also very easy to improve the quality and of the conversation and improve the quality of your chatbot, effectiveness of your chatbot, right? So I'm going to go to the first tip. So normally when I go to the tip, I always go to the live demo to show you how you actually implement these practical tips in on Juji. So let me just share with you. The first tip it is, so when you make your chatbot asking questions, you want to make your chatbot interesting and fun, because you don't want to be just make your chatbot like the form, just ask a spelled out question one by one. You want the chatbot to basically appear to be interesting, right? So in this case, the first one is you want to ask a mixed open-ended question and a closed-ended question. This is also a benefit because you can gather both quantitative data and qualitative data, right? So that's the one which I will show you quickly. And add transitions. So unlike the form, there's literally virtually has no transition, question after question. Remember, you're making a chatbot. The purpose it is you want to make this conversational, which actually Zhang will tell you after my sharing the tips, how that makes a huge difference comparing to just a simple form-based one, right? Then add transitions. Another one is to add fun elements, which means it is you want to maybe add a video, add an image. Again, it's about engagement. Everything's about engagement, right? So now I'm going to go to show you how to do that on Juji. So I have, I'm already logged in because for those kind of webinars, we often actually invite the people who already sign on Juji. So you kind of at least have seen this interface before. So I'm going to create a chatbot from scratch. So select, right? So I'm going to actually use the blank template because in this case, it is, I can demonstrate that my tip. You can ask the mixed initiative question, mix the type of questions, right? So I create. So you will see the blank template, which means it only has the hello and goodbye and nothing in between, right? So you can see here, I'm just customize, you will see. Only has welcome message, hands around, right? So let's see, in this case, what am I going to make a chatbot to do maybe a quick survey, right? Maybe interview, do a very quick interview as if this is on the website. And so then you want to do, it's almost like you do PowerPoint. When you do PowerPoint, you have a set of the slides you want to actually have carry out your communicate your main points. It's very similar. So then you want to put the question here as if you are using almost like similar to SurveyMonkey or Qualtrics. You put the questions here, right? So this is to enable you to actually teach your chatbot what questions the chatbot should ask. So let's say, as usual, first one, we want to know a little bit more about this, who this visitor it is, because we don't know, right? The second question we want to ask it is, hey, what do you enjoy doing? So kind of like a little bit chit chat of the one. But the third one, I want to get into the business. I want to ask this person. So what are you why you are interested in? What are you why are you here? Right? I want to give them several reasons because this case is easy for me to process. So I'm just going to add the 3 questions. The 2 are open-ended, and the last one will be close-ended because I just want to know who what they're interested in, right? So this one you can see. So as you can see here, it is when you add questions and you want to use this tile called the request user input. Remember, you're having your chatbot ask a question. So you want the chatbot to wait for the user answer. If you choose this one called the send a message, which means that it's the chatbot to send a message without waiting for user answer. So you want to choose definitely this one, not this one. Request user input, right? You can see we already provide different types of question template, if you will, right? This is a close-ended question. You have a choice. We're not going to use it here because the third question we're using here, multiple answer, multiple choice, like a checkbox. This is a radio button checkbox. And then this is a free text, right? So this is a Facebook choice if you want to deploy on Facebook. Right now we go to free text question. Very similar as you use Qualtrics, as you use SurveyMonkey, especially if you're familiar with them, right? First one, you want to give a label this question. Why? Because once you collect the answer, you want to see the question labeled by this one. It's a very succinct, concise one. You say, could you introduce yourself? Remember, you want to make a conversation, right? So you don't want to just out there, could you introduce yourself? In this case, what you do here is you want to make the conversational message very, conversational, right? In this case, I said, since we just met, I'd love to know a bit about yourself. Could you say something about yourself in 2 to 3 sentences? You see that? Okay, so you see in label it's show up here. So when you actually, after you deploy this chatbot, when you look at let's say the final results you collected, this label will show up versus using this long description. Very similar to SurveyMonkey, whatever you use, whatever Survey Gizmo or one, it's the label of your one. I will share with you later. This label has another very important use. I will share with my second, third tip, right? So this is just assuming I do the one. Very simple, right? Second one, I'm going to ask another open-ended question. What are your hobbies, right? Because I want just to chit chat, understand a little bit more. People said this one, if you know somebody's hobby, you know half of this person. This one, similarly, I will ask one, what are your hobbies, right? Again, remember my tip? You want to make transitions. You don't want this conversation appear to be, could you introduce yourself? What are your hobbies? It just sounds so mechanical, so robotic, right? Again, you want to make this conversational, make a transition. You say this one, this case is one, life is not just about work. I'm very curious to know what you enjoy doing in your spare time. As you can see, right? My question is, what are your hobbies? But I can say in any way I want, right? That's like a conversation, like the one, okay? Now go to my tip. I was talking about mix the questions. Don't ask all open-ended because people will be very tired, right? Because answering open-ended questions takes lots of cognitive load, right? This one, last one, I want to ask, again, still close-ended question. I just want to ask them, why are you here today, right? And so in this case, I want to see this one, I guess make up, assuming that this is my website program, right? Check out your program, right? Another one, it is, another case, it is, I'm just browsing. You know why important this one it is? Because you know the level of their interest, right? Of course, you can also ask them their name, their email, anything, right? So I'm just browsing. Another one, maybe you can put on another, which means it is you want to see if you want to display, right? This kind. This information is useful. It is because if on the website, once you collect those information on our dashboard, you can see, oh, actually 75% of the people just browsing. They don't have any actually purpose, right? Just wondering. And then other 25% of people is check out your program, because you can actually, when you say check out your program, you can customize it. You can ask a follow-up question. So let me show you here, right? So let's see. Select the option. If it's a check out your program, I can ask it. I say, that's why I'm here for, right? Then I can ask the create a question, new question, right? So let's say T4. Again, this is T4. I want the free text question because I want to hear what they say. I will say that, what do you like to know? I will do my best to answer. You see that? So in this case, right? So in this case, it's I will share with you a little bit later on. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in this case, so I will so this basically that's takes a few minutes, right? So once you do this one, you can do preview. So let's do a preview. Since we just met, I love to know one. Could you say something yourself? I said it. I'm a computer scientist and I work for a startup. Okay. I like that. Okay. Life is not just about work. I'm curious to know what you enjoy doing in your spare time, right? Watch. So remember, keep in your mind the image it is when computer reads this one, unlike you and me can read natural language, they read numbers 0 and 1. So they have to figure out what exactly this user is trying to say. Did she answer my question? Did he answer my question correctly, expected? Or he's asking me something else? So in this case, it interprets it as, I said, what about you? In this context, it said this one, oh, she must be asking me what I enjoy doing. What are my hobbies, right? So they said, oh, reading people. Again, it says, oh, life is, because now this signal shows that it didn't really answer my question what the hobbies one. So I'm continually asking this question. I said this one. Then I said, I love to play chess and read novels. Let's continue, right? Now this is close-ended question. See that? If I say, check out your program, and you will see. That's why I'm here for. What would you like to know? I have to do my best to answer. Then it gave you a way out. I have no question about, right? So this case. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I see 3 in chats. Then I'm going to answer questions before I move to my second tip, which is, I think some of you already see here already. And I want to, okay.
Yeah, I don't think there are any questions yet, Michelle.
Okay, so I should just go on? Yep. Okay, to go on. Once I'm showing this one, you guys see here already. I said, what about you, right? Reading people. You see the computer repeat this one? Life is not just about work and one, right? It's a repeat this one. Thinking about it. If you were the person who does this one, what would you do? Would you repeat the whole thing? You probably won't, right? So in reading people, this chatbot would say, a real human would say, oh, I still would like to know your hobbies. I still like to know what you enjoy doing, right? It's a very abbreviated version. It's not going to repeat exactly the same thing, right? So I'm going to go to my second tip, right? So my second tip here,
Hey, Michelle, before you go on, one question did come in on the last thread. How did Juji respond to the question from the user?
Right. That's right. Thank you for asking. That's
Good
my tip
question.
number 2. Okay. So my tip number 2, you already saw that when I say something, the Juji, it's really smart, right? Can understand if I say, I love to play chess. He said, oh, intellectual activities stimulate you. I love that. But what if I respond to, I love to run and play basketball? And you will see how Juji respond. I will show it later, right? So this is the one that's very important. It is, that's why we want you to use Juji. We have a ton of the pre-built conversational topics. So I will show you how you find them, right? And the second tip I want to show you here, it is, you don't want your chatbot to keep repeating the question exactly the same. You want them to paraphrase it, especially when they're re-asking. You want to make them sound smart, right? I'm going to show that. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is, I'm going to go back to my little one. So look at this one, right? This one. So let me go to design. That's why it's the beauty of this label. So do you say, could you introduce yourself, right? When you type this label, actually something I hate from you guys earlier is this. It automatically pull a conversational topic that are relevant to this question. This one happens to be a match. If it's not a match, you're welcome to choose one inside here. So for example, we have a categories, people matters, right? You can ask a user about the companions, introduce themselves. You can ask a user about his best friend, user to identify a third party. For example, you can even take a look at the sample question, what would be suitable for. Who is serving as your reference? And if somebody said nobody, I don't have anyone, you will see that's already pre-built in answers to help you handle all those situations. That's how it went, right? I know it's situated in this particular case. So, but I don't want to choose this one, right? Because I want to just want to show you all these topics here. So it's very, so for example, if you change this label, if you don't pin, remember the pin, right? Pin, which means it is, you don't want them to accidentally change this topic you want. So let's say if I pin this one, I just show you the difference. If I pin here, if I change this one to something weird, if I say, what's the top challenge you are facing? For example, right? You will see when I did this one, still ask introduce yourself. Look, if I unpin it, if I change this one, I think, let me see what is happening. You see that? After unpin it, it's based on the label, ask you what the top challenge in general. So you could use this label as the search function to find the conversational topic actually is suitable for your situation. Why you want to use that? Because it's very important, because it's context sensitive. So do you remember? Let me change it back, right? Let's say, okay, because that context determines the Juji's responses. So I'm going to pin this one because I don't want to accidentally change this one. Look at this one. What are your hobbies? Do you remember I asked the question? I say, I asked say, what about you, or what's yours, right? In that case, so I understand. So if I add another new one, let's say new one, what's your favorite movie? Let's say, what's your favorite food? What's in, right? If I say, what's your favorite food? Sometimes you write here, sometimes you write here, doesn't matter, right? But here, normally I want to do here is make it much longer. Say this one, I know humans love to eat. What's your favorite food, right? Because so because the concise label is much easier to find, you will say favorite, thing, right? The reason you want to use this topic is because it's so much built-in one. You want to reuse Juji instead of you writing it. Let me share with you why I mean that, right? So let's say, Okay, look at this topic. We have this one. I say this one. I'm a marketer and work for a big company. Whenever I have time, I love to play piano. Okay, you are a field that focusing on people interaction and the persuasion, right? Because understand, again, the reason they can respond because they knew this under this context. I want you to continue to see what I do. I know humans love, what's your favorite food? What about you? Remember, it's the same input. What about you? But now it understands talking about the food, not talking about hobbies, right? You see that? So I said, okay, said this, I love many types of food. Again, this is the beauty, the power of the pre-built-in topic. I still didn't see, I didn't tell the computer which food is my favorite, right? Look, it automatically handles it. It's good to hear. I just want to know one you like. Doesn't need to be your absolute favorite. Again, because it's in context, you know that one. I say I love shrimp. Just let it continue, right? So let it continue. Did you guys see this is what happened? His magic here. I already told the one, whenever I have time, I love to play piano. So it automatically skipped the question, what did you enjoy doing in your spare time? Because they already got the information, it wouldn't ask you anymore, right? So that's why the power of the conversational topic pre-built is to help you handle diverse, highly diverse, complex user input already. It's a pre-built in intelligence. Second, handles context automatically. What about you? If it's under this context, they knew how to respond accordingly. More, handle the context, the cross topics, because in this case, they wouldn't repeat the questions they already got the answer for. You see that? It's very powerful, right? In this tip, I have another one I want to show you. It's this. Many people don't use it because we don't have so many because so many features, so many one, and the writers love it. It is this. Did you remember?
Hey, Michelle, before you move on, there were a couple questions.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
Around, are the labels used in analytics? And if you use the pre-built topics, would you avoid adding custom responses?
I will share with that. Bear with me. The second question. The first question I will say to this one. The first question, the labels, it's currently has just two uses, right? One use it is to help you find the pre-built-in conversational topic. Second use it is to actually help you to view the user's responses after you deploy it, which I will show you in a minute, right? You can see them. They're actually very nicely organized already. So that's only for this two. They're not being used for any other type of analysis. Just as two uses, help you find the one, find the topic, and help you to view the user responses associated with this topic. Oh, another use you can see here is here. You can see it. It's basically abbreviated, right? It's easier for you to read, easier for you to see. I'm not even sure if how many of you knew that we have actually a graph-based representation of this one. So the label is also used there to index these nodes and the links. You see that? Here. You can have that one. So if you click on what your hobbies here, right? If you go back, because I have a very small screen, so I can't do parallel screen at the same time. If you have a big screen, do parallel, help you to see the structure as well. You can see, go back, you'll see, it automatically come here. If I come here, while you're here today, if click on this one, if you go back here, click on here. So this one gives you a structural looking of the graph of your questions, right? You can see that. So I want to share with hold on for a second question. I will share with you whether you still want to customize. Yes, depending on your situation, right? So I will share with you on that. So, but the first one, before I want you to do that one, before I wanted to answer that question, I want you to actually to share with you another tip, which is very important and very easy to do. Do you remember when I say, could you introduce yourself? What, right? So if I didn't answer the question, I said, why don't you introduce yourself? Then it's an interruption, right? Then this chatbot will come back, repeat this question back to me. But I don't want to repeat it. I want to make this conversation more human, more natural. So what I do here it is this one. I will add a paraphrase. I just said this one. I'd still like to know a bit about you, right? I add another one, paraphrase. You can add as many as you want. Could you say something about yourself? Notice this is for only for re-asking, which means it's the first time when the chatbot asks this question, it wouldn't come up with this one because it's too abrupt, too concise. And then you will review all this one here, right? I also want to make this concise one into a re-asking. So the tip here it is, the rule of thumb it is, you can make the first asking longer with the transition and with the reasoning even sometimes. So let people know it is why you're asking this question, right? And then as you do a repeated asking, you want to make it short and precise, okay? So let me actually share with you how this one will behave now. And you will really like it, especially for the creative writers. They want to make the conversation more natural, non-repetitive. That's the way to do it. For example, I say this one, could you introduce yourself, right? And it understands that I didn't actually, many chatbots, you go there, they thought it's the answer, just go on, right? I'm AI-powered responsible persona or rep for sure. See that? Could you say something about yourself? I didn't repeat the whole thing now, right? Repeat the whole thing. Then I can say, I say this one, what do you want to know, for example? Again, it understands that, I still didn't get it, not so much, you will see. Could you say something about yourself? It's kind of, but this is random because continually doing this one, you see that one, right? It says, so this is random because we can't, now currently we don't control which come. And if you ask it again, I said, do you like Lady Gaga? I love this one because it's thanks to Colin who writes his very smart answers. It's kind of like a bad romance. You continue, use a different one, continue, right? And then so you can continue to do because it's randomly choose. So I currently I don't even have a control to say how many times they choose this one versus another one. I still like to know about yourself. Let's try one more to say this one. To say this. What's the weather like in San Jose? I just want to kind of show you how they actually, when they choose this one, unless they completely. Oh, they still choose. Why? Again, it's computer in this case, right? So you choose one. So they may, another time they may choose another alternative, right? So if you give more, the chance for choosing this one will be less, right? You get more. Normally a rule of thumb is it probably gave about three or four, something like that, right? Okay, before I move on to my next tip.
Michelle, there's one more question as well. The question is, how does Juji handle misspellings?
Oh, and misspellings. I will show you just quickly, right? This is funny.
Yeah, and just to check on time, it's now 12:40. So we
right. I want to give
it
some time to one. Yeah, you can turn on a spelling checker. You can do that, right? In spelling checker, you automatically spelling check the one for you if you misspelled it, right? You can do a preview. So I don't know which one. What I misspell one. You can turn on that one when you deploy, basically, right? I think this one, but remember, when you do the spelling checker, you might want to put in some of a word which it doesn't handle. So for example, if you see, what could you tell me about Juji? Because this one, by default, we don't put those information inside the one. I think they think Juji is misspelled. Did you see that? I think they will automatically handle become Fuji. See that? You see that? And in this case, how do you correct it? And it's also very super easy. I just said in my spelling checker, I exclude the Juji. Then you can do that. Okay, you can do that. So you can play with this one. So we need to move on because I do want to leave some time on the one. Oh wow, I thought I going to. So maybe today I'm just going to go to 3 tips. Leave 4 and 5 later on, and you will love them too. So one thing I wanted to share with. Let me please pick that one with a question one, right? Repeat what user says. Okay, I will do this one. Because this one potentially answers the question and the person asks, so do I need to do here? You see that? Do I want to actually do I want to customize it? Depending on your purpose. If you really want a much more in-depth conversation, or for your purpose, let's say you're a seafood restaurant, right? You really care about which seafood they like. In that case, the pre-built-in Juji one doesn't have that detailed information. Then you might want to customize that. So let me show you one customization and also sentiment as well. Because the Juji doesn't put the sentiment analysis for every single topic. If you feel that not sufficient, you can just use that, right? So let me just share with you. I'm going to stop. This is the last tip I'm going to share because we run out of time, and I will leave 2 more tips to share the next time. So because I want to share the tips with you, it's something you can easily implement. You can easily do, right? So first one, I'm going to because for the demo purpose, I'm going to pull this favorite food in the first question, because in this case, we will show this demo much quickly. In this case, because I'm a seafood restaurant, to be honest, right? So what I want to do here is I want to capture what kind of a seafood they like, right? In this case, I want to customize the response. Not just customize response, my tip is you want to kind of actively listening, make them feel like it is, oh, I hear you, right? So that's one I want to show here. Is I said this one, I want to contain keywords. I want to put in shrimp. I want to keep in scallop, right? I want to say fish, right? Oh, salmon, let's go up something more concrete, right? I'm just going to do this one. What you can see here is you can install this one. Store this attribute called fish, text, save, right? You store this one. And then what happens here is this. I want to do a quick acknowledgement. Remember what I said, the tip? Repeat what you hear. Make people feel like that, oh, great. I'm really glad to hear you love X. X is something you captured. How do you do that? Remember, we captured a fish, right? Insert this attribute value. Remember, I remember it's fish. Here, I just choose it, fish, add. Then you can repeat. So so this is one of the shrimp. So let's see it. I love salmon. Do you see that? Repeat, right? You can put, and what if you don't care about repeat? Another summarize you want to hear, let's say a higher level of one. So I don't want to use this one, right? So I want to delete this one. What I want to do here, I just want to capture seafood in this case, right? So this case, I can't use this one. I just say it's similar to, remember, when you do keyword has exact match. But when I do similar to, it's a semantic match. I said it's like seafood. I put this one to 80%, which means I can capture. Then I say this one, I'm really glad to hear that you love seafood. Generic, right? So you see what's the difference of this one and this. That's why you decide. Do you see that? I didn't have a shrimp inside. I just have seafood because the semantically it's close, the shrimp and the seafood. So you can do this one. So you can do many different types of a customization as you see fit. And actually I have another 2 tips. It is you also should do customization to make people feel like it's very knowledgeable by anticipating what your users might do. So that's anticipation. It's very easy to anticipate. Actually, I can share with you the tips in the next one. So I'm going to stop here, maybe take a 1 or 2 questions. Then I do want to leave the time for Zhang, because you will be surprised how a conversational AI like this, doing a survey versus a traditional Qualtrics survey, and what are differences, because you want to know the outcome, especially from university. If you're doing research, maybe you are running a business, you're wondering whether I should put up the form, whether I should put up the chatbot, right? Then you have the comparison results to have. Any questions? I'm sorry, I speak very fast, but
I don't see any questions at this time, Michelle, in the chat. So I'm going to reclaim host and make Zing the host. Is that okay?
yeah, I'm stopped now. Right, I would let Zhang to. Zhang, go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. Let me share my screen.
He is now the host.
I think you probably queued to the wrong person, so I'm not the host right now.
Okay, you should be the host now.
Yep. Okay, so were you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity here. As Michelle said, like those are the tips that's really useful, like even for me to build my own chatbot to do my own research. So I'm very excited to share my research. And so a little bit about myself. So I'm a PhD student at the University of Illinois, and my major is computer science. And what my research is doing is really I build AI and study AI to see how AI could ask questions and understand people. So that's why I'm interested in this topic, and today that's why I'm here to share my study results. So survey, as you may be familiar with, and I believe many of you have used it in your daily life, it's a method of gathering information by asking questions. However, like today's survey method, there are like so many challenges. So there are a lot of like survey fatigue that people don't want to take your survey request, and they don't want to really to take long surveys. And also there's some like very static survey structure. So if you want to make it really personalized or flexible survey structure, you need to put a lot of effort to create endless branches and also test extensively. So this kind of a predefined nature of a form-based survey really not often personalized and jeopardize the user's experience. And most importantly is the data that you collected from the survey. So in my research that I see AI chatbot as a great opportunity, just as what Juji is doing here, like we can really use a chatbot to create an engaging experience and encourage authentic responses. And it also could be flexible as interactive, just as what you saw in Michelle's demo. So I'm here to share you a study where in this study, we're just trying to ask 2 questions. So the first question is about how the chatbot-driven survey would be able to improve the quality of the information we gathered in a survey compared to a static form-based survey. And the second question we're trying to ask is how would the participant engagement differ in an AI-powered chatbot-driven survey versus a traditional form-based survey? So to answer those questions, we conduct an experiment, a controlled study to study the difference between those 2 methods. So we build a survey in 2 different formats with the same set of questions. and we distribute it to about 600 participants. So they will be randomly to interact with either a conversational survey that we use Juji to build or a form-based survey. So, and then we started to study what the response differ in those two formats of surveys. So let's look at the response rate and the completion rate. So like the completion rate here is computed by the percentage of participants who open the survey link and complete all the questions. And the response rate or percentage of participants who receive the invitation link and open the link. So why those two rates are important? Because it's directly linked to how many responses you could get, and also the who gonna respond to your survey. So as we can see the comparison here, we didn't really see significant difference in terms of the response rate, but the completion rate, there is a huge difference, which means that the high completion rate suggests a better stickiness of the chatbot survey. So people like to interact with the chatbot survey and they decide to complete instead of drop out in the middle. And then we are interested in how we can really measure the quality of a survey. So we propose a set of metrics based on the Gricean Maxim. So what is Gricean Maxim? So there are a set of communication principles that both the speaker and the listener should adhere to ensure effective communication. It's a established theory, and in this theory, it includes three principles, including the quantity, relevance, and manner. So build upon that, we use this maxim to guide us define a set of metrics that quantitatively measure the quality of information communicated by the survey participants. So we measure the quality of the information from four aspects: the informativeness, specificity, relevance, and clarity, where the informativeness and the specificity measures the information quantity from both volume and depth. So for example, the specificity measures the depth of the response. So specific response often provides sufficient details, like which not only help the information collectors to better understand and utilize the response, it also enables them to acquire more valuable and in-depth insights. And the relevance and clarity measures the information answer, if the information answers our question or information that we communicated is in a clear and orderly manner. So I highly suggest you to consider this set of metrics when you are trying to evaluate the quality of your own survey, especially with a chatbot. So let's look at the results. So the chatbot outperformed the form-based survey on all the dimensions. So the participants who are completing chatbot survey offered much more relevant, specific, and clear response to open questions than their counterparts did in a Qualtrics survey. So we know that the chatbot survey could get good responses. Then how about the user experience? So we look at the three dimensions that directly related to the participant engagement. They're including their engagement duration, responsiveness, and the level of self-disclosure. So the level of disclosure is how much information people included in a self-introductory question. So the participant were waiting to really spending more time with the chatbot and writing longer responses and disclosing more information about themselves in depth and scope. So with this set of responses and the analysis results, we can really answer our question firmly. So the chatbot really could elicit significantly higher quality responses than a traditional form-based survey, and it encourages significantly more participant engagement. It transforms the online experience. So I'd like to talk more about my study in depth, but due to the constraint of time, so if you have a question, feel free to contact me and I can answer your questions. So as a summary, our work in this study suggests a promising way of using AI chatbot to conduct effective surveys. So we first systematically evaluate the effectiveness of a conversational survey driven by the chatbot. And we also propose a new set of measures of the chatbot survey success. So I think that's all of my presentation. So if you have any question, I'm happy to answer.
Zhang, maybe you can also share the paper link. So especially because we have students,
Mhm.
we have other researchers, perhaps then you can actually share your paper link. Just maybe just do a Google search to share the screen, because this screen is recorded, right? So
Mhm.
then people can see it.
Yeah, I can also put it into the chat. Let me see.
Okay, we have about 3 minutes to spare, and it's still long, I think, today. Yeah, sorry, I took a lot of time on the tips too. And then if you still have any question, people are still here, feel free to ask, and if not, and we can end this session. And by the way, everything will be recorded anyway. It's recorded anyway. Yeah.
Doesn't look like there's any questions, Michelle.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, everyone, and hopefully you find this useful. And then we will come back to share with you more tips, especially people who are very creative in writing. Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
and